Hello everybody, hope that you're good. It's been a long time without the YouTube videos, but they are back. I've been traveling, enjoying, moving house, so it's been a process, you know. The last time I uploaded a video was, I think, in March or April. I remember we were here at 80k, and the last video was only about, we should buy the weekly 50MA. Potentially the bottom is here because we are, feeling this long week in the weekly time frame. We are testing the bull market support, which is the weekly 50MA. You can see that every time we come to the weekly 50MA, we see bounces, okay, in all the bull markets. So we were saying buy the weekly 50MA support, okay, expect a bounce then from 80k, and with it we saw a 60% pump all the way to 120k, and now by coincidence we are in a similar situation. We're very close to the weekly 50MA, okay? The weekly 50MA right now is above 101k, so it's in top left corner, 101,147. That's the weekly 50MA, and we're already at 107k, okay? So we're gonna talk about this weekly 50MA, but first let's go into the 4 hours time frame. I don't know if you all read the Bitcoin update that I posted yesterday. But basically what I was saying is that, we are in a high time frame uptrend. You can see that by looking at the weekly time frame. This is clearly a high time frame uptrend. We are inside a correction within that high time frame uptrend. Potentially could go all the way to the weekly 50MA like we saw in previous times. And in low time frame, I was saying that I don't see a very clear direction. So it makes me think that this is some kind of a range, okay? And you could draw your range lows in this orange line. I'm pulling them lower. What I'm thinking here is that it's possible that if we drop below this orange line, there is a lot of space to continue going lower all the way to 101k, 102k, potentially filling the 100% of this week, okay? Yes, you're gonna tell me this week is only on Binance. Well, it's not. It's not in Binance, only it's in Binance, it's in Bybit, it's in Bluffin, it's in BingX, it's in BitGet. Okay, the only chart that doesn't have this week is Coinbase chart. So we're going to consider that in terms of liquidity, this week is real. Okay, so yeah, it could get 100% filled. You already got at least 50%, and you guys know that with my week fill strategy, all I say is that long weeks need to get filled at least 50%. Once they get filled 50% or more, we can consider them as completed. Price doesn't need to go to the 100%. Now, however, if price comes back to around the 50% level and there is no a bounce, so for example here you can see that we filled the 50% at least, price bounce well, okay, perfect. But then it couldn't break this high, this local high. It got rejected, and now we are again around that same level, around the 50% level of that week, which makes it more likely that it continues dropping to the 100% of the week. Okay, that's what I usually see in the week fill strategy. So that's a sign of caution to me. That's what I've been saying yesterday in the Bitcoin update. And I would say that if we drop below this orange line, then it will be very likely the price drops lower to the 100% of the week fill. You can see there a beautiful deviation below the range lows, because there you also have the weekly 50MA that it's a big support where we would expect a good reaction, an aggressive bounce. So in terms of high time frame, I'm still bullish. I'm going with the trend. 101k, if we get there, there should be a bounce. So that's the most likely scenario. And in low time frame, I consider this to potentially be a range and potentially head towards the range lows. Okay. Now, also, I support this theory that we are still in a bull market. I know that some of you might disagree, and that's fine. I'm only telling you my theory. So some of you might criticize it. That's fine. That's what this is about. But you have the Fed injecting liquidity. Now you also have the US government shut down. When it reopens, they have to pay bills. they have to inject more liquidity then you also have the companies of the S&P 500 doing very good earnings, okay? Especially by the end of Q3 and now the first month in October of Q4, they've been doing good earnings. So, I mean, it's going well, I would say. You know, it's likely that with all this liquidity getting injected into the market, prices should move on, especially when Bitcoin is delayed, is behind the global monetary supply, okay, and all these liquidity injections. So yeah, I would say that it's very likely that we are still going to go higher, okay. So yeah, in my opinion, it's more likely that we continue going higher, and if we go to 101k, that there is a bounce. Now, right now, I'm flat. I'm not in a trade because I don't see things very clear, okay? I'm waiting to see what happens. I suggested the Telegram channel, which is free, and I recommend you guys to join because I'm way more active there than on X. So I'll leave you the link in the description. I was saying that I'm expecting, and this is pure instinct, I don't have any info, of course. You know, I'm just an analyst from my house. But I was saying that this week there could be news either from Donald Trump or from the Federal Reserve of the US, that could move the market. So usually when I see price, you know, so uncertain that it doesn't move much, it's kind of waiting for something, you know. And yeah, many times the chart, or most times, or almost pretty much always, the chart is ahead of the news. And when it's like this, it's because something is probably going to happen, okay? Potentially, it's more likely, in my opinion, that those news or whatever happens triggers a move down like this, okay? And that's what I'll be looking to get into a position, right? So that's what I'm kind of expecting for Bitcoin. If you want an excuse, then you can go to the 10-year bonds, and it's true that it's likely the price, you know, that probably formed a bottom over here. Looks to me like a bottom formation here, okay? And now price is potentially gonna go to 420 or 433, okay? That you can see two resistances. So that could be the excuse, but let's see, all right? You know that when the 10-year yield goes up, it puts pressure on the S&P. The S&P, if we go to the S&P 500, you can see that, yeah, the chart is very bullish, but it's normal that it does some retests. Like for example here, you could say that this could be a good support, okay? Same as, for example, it was here, that you could see the same, okay? In there. And you can see how, you know, price broke this resistance, went up, tested back this support, okay? Went up, and now price could go back here to test the support to continue going higher, okay? So something like that is what I'm expecting. Still, I do think that we are in a high time frame uptrend, but I'm cautious in low time frame. More things. Ethereum, 4 hours time frame. Let's have a look. I shared Ethereum and Solana charts last night on Telegram to complete the Bitcoin update with some altcoins. What I was saying is that, you know, I see a lot of liquidity in Ethereum below this line, because if you notice, now it's starting to take that liquidity. You can see here, hang on, sorry, excuse me. You can see here 1, 2, 3, 4 hits there to the downside. A lot of liquidity, if you imagine, in all this area here, okay? A lot of liquidity here. That is full of liquidity, full of stop losses. And you can see how price has started today going there, okay? Now, I'm expecting it to go a bit lower, at least to this, below this low here, where it could take all the liquidity. Then from there, maybe we see a reaction. Acceptance above the range lows again could be a safe entry. If you are more aggressive, then you can just place some buy limit orders below this low, you know, expecting that would be just a liquidity grab to continue pushing price higher, and spreading around 40-50% of the position to spare those orders here, okay? So for example, you could enter here 50% and here 50. That's just some ideas you could take. And this one would be around the 100% of the week fill, okay? So just some ideas, same for Solana. Solana is already doing the move. I noticed the same. Look at this trend line, guys. Don't you think that most traders that they go to the bookshop and just buy the first trading book they see, because they are pretty much all the same, except the ones that talk about trading psychology, respect for those ones, but the ones that talk about technical analysis, they're pretty much telling you, follow the trend, right? So if you see a trend like this, what you're going to be doing is you're going to continue longing every touch of that trend line, okay? Now, eventually, in reality, what we see is that, after 3-4 hits, if price goes back to the trend line, the most likely is that it breaks down much lower to hit or lose a stop loss. So any trader that was opening new longs here gets immediately stopped, okay? And for example, you think this guy here took profits here? Most traders didn't. Most traders are holding that trade towards this area here, okay? So those guys are also going to get stopped. That's already what happened. Price is going lower. Now, I'm not sure how low Solana will go, because I was expecting that, if Bitcoin goes to 101K, if Ethereum goes to 3,600, 3,500, then Solana could go to 170, but so far it's taking a bigger hit. So yes, it could go lower than what it's marking in the chart. So my take on Solana would be, or this is what I'm doing, I'm trading with caution this week because I see it very uncertain. All I'm doing is waiting for the news to happen, waiting for Bitcoin to make the move that we've talked here, if this happens. And once Bitcoin is ready for a bounce, once Bitcoin is in this area, then I can go back to Solana, okay? Maybe Solana is here, or maybe Solana is here, or maybe it's here. I don't know. And that is where I can start to look for longs in Solana. Not sooner, because Solana is going to follow Bitcoin, okay? Just so you understand a bit the priorities. So that's pretty much everything, guys. I hope that this video was helpful. And I don't know if you guys missed the videos, but I did. I think it's fun. So I'll probably see you again this week, okay? Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.